let's just imagine for a second that we're back in our childhood. You know, for me, that pretty much consisted of watching TV late at night until I would eventually pass out. Now, mostly I would watch Toonami or whatever was on, but Toonami around the time when I was growing up was pretty much going away, so all I really had was Adult Swim. And luckily, there was something for me there, which was anime. Pretty much my nights consisted of watching Bleach reruns over and over again because I was just so infatuated with this whole new aspect. Before I was just watching cartoons, but now there was anime. Not too long, my brother would introduce me to an entire site dedicated to showing you anime. That site would be known as Crunchyroll. Discovering Crunchyroll was a brand new thing for me, as I didn't know that there was any kind of website like this. All that I knew about anime was Naruto, Dragon Ball, and Bleach at the time, so this site having a bunch more, as well as telling me about subtitled anime, and there's differences between sub and dub, I mean, it was all new information to me. There was new episodes of Bleach that I probably wouldn't be able to see until like 3 months later, until they eventually dubbed it and aired it on Adult Swim, but I was able to watch it now. I thought Naruto was cancelled for the longest time since I wasn't seeing it at all on TV, but I found out there's Shippuden and there's new episodes already that I could just start watching. It was so great, but that's not why Crunchyroll was so important. Why Crunchyroll was so important was because it introduced me to one specific anime that I hadn't heard people talk about, and even to this day, I don't hear that many people talk about it. My brother was the one that found out, and while he dropped off of it about 3 to 4 episodes in, I stuck with it. That anime is known as Katekyō Hitman Reborn. Hitman Reborn follows Tsunayoshi Sawada, or Suna for short, a timid 14-year-old boy who is mostly known for his kindness he gives to others, but doesn't really have many other redeeming qualities other than that, as why he is dubbed the nickname of No Good Suna. However, one day when he is expecting a home tutor, he actually gets the young hitman known as Reborn, who is part of the mafia family known as the Vongola, and tells Suna that he is destined to one day become the 10th boss of this most powerful Italian mafia family. And of course, Suna wants nothing to do with it. Now you'd think with a premise like that it would have to do with a lot of the mafia undergoings as well as the organization, but the first 20-ish episodes are pretty slice of life, and most people tend to drop it off by this point, as a lot of what goes on is mostly Suna meeting a lot of what would soon be his friends and family members for this mafia, as well as people that he would then make connections with for later parts in the story. And while many people criticize this first half for being pretty slow, I for one find it to be one of the most enjoyable aspects of this series because of the fact that instead of just going straight into the regular shonen deal that you usually get with anime like this, you get to actually see these characters and how they act on a daily basis before plunging them into the typical shonen pool of action and adventure that you normally expect from these types of shows. And for me, it's here when the story really starts to shine, because once you get past a bunch of these 20-ish episodes, you then start to get to the good stuff. A lot of the shonen tropes you start to appear, but they're done in, I feel, a really clever way. They start off with things like the dying will bullet, which allows Suna to go into this berserker type state where he's only in his underwear, but he has his max potential out. But then you start to get introduced with other equipment like the X gloves, and even more from there that start to make this into a regular typical shonen with its own little interesting aspect on the mafia story. And the story only gets more interesting from there as we start to delve into the background of this historic mafia family and learn exactly what its mission is in this world, what it's trying to accomplish, as well as all kinds of other things that are related to it, such as the Vongola rings, which each have their own immense amount of power, but require a sort of ceremonious battle to take place in order to see who are the rightful owners of such items that have so much history with them. The Vongola family in and of itself is one of the best aspects of this entire story, as they take up pretty much all of it. It's all centered around this mafia family that, while starts off to seem as one thing, it later delves into this other aspect of it that I really think works very well in capturing the entire mafia archetype, but in a more anime setting that works for what the story is trying to accomplish. And on top of all of that, the immense amount of character development and growth that is done throughout the show is amazing, and only solidifies why I continue to love a lot of the aspects of this entire anime. It just goes on to have a lot of explanations for the things that you would think would be typical or tropes in such a shonen, such as the power-ups and constant reliance of wanting to save your friends, family, and loved ones. However, it is done in a way that I feel is so well balanced, and considering that the entire show runs on the aspect of your willpower and how everything that happens is done based on the aspects of your desires and what you want out of life, and especially that current situation you're in, it makes these power-ups, devices, or anything that the characters may get to boost their increasing strength actually feel warranted and earned, which just solidifies why this story resonates so well with me. And while on the topic of characters, why don't we start talking about some? The characters are my favorite aspect of the show, so let's go over the 7 Guardians and why they're all unique. Gokudera Hayato is a hot-headed boy whose only purpose in life he feels is to serve the Vongola family and its current mafia boss, Tsunayoshi Sawada. His sheer determination and willpower to protect the boss and the integrity of the Vongola family is unparalleled and unmatched within the entire series, making him both an amazing character to witness when shown in the anime, but also a fearsome foe to fight whenever in combat. Yamamoto Takeshi is a cheerful, lovable guy who engages in baseball as a main hobby. When he comes into contact with Suna, he starts to see a lot of the mafia stuff as mostly a game that they play together. However, once he starts to see the severity and consequences that comes with playing such a dangerous game like Mafia, he does take action and initiative to become a formidable foe against opponents, a fantastic swordsman, as well as one of the most powerful assets to the Vongola family. Sasagawa Ryohei is a determined boxer who takes a liking to Suna after seeing the sheer willpower that this man can output. After becoming a guardian of the Vongola family, he uses his boxing skills in order to hone in on being able to read his opponents as well as take as many hits as possible to ensure that he never gives up and always comes out on top with the sheer desire and willpower to continue to fight and win the battle. Hibari Kyoya is the leader of the disciplinary committee and the strongest member of the Vongola Guardians. He at first does not really respect Suna as he finds him to be weak, but eventually starts to see him as a boss due to his sheer determination and willpower to protect his friends. He does eventually become a great comrade and team member of the Vongola family, showing compassion to all his comrades. Lambo is the youngest of the Vongola Guardians and has a 10-year-old bazooka that allows him to switch places with his 10-year-old self from the future. Although he may seem childlike in nature, he is a formidable foe if not taken seriously. Kurom Dokudo and Mokudo Rokudo are both the Mist Guardians as they share the same body. They are both expert illusionists, able to throw off their enemies by completely engulfing their surroundings in illusions, that way they can never sense it. They both have respect for Suna after seeing the strength that he had displayed to them firsthand. Tsunayoshi Sawada is one of my favorite characters in anime. The sheer absolute love that he has for his family and everybody around him is something that I absolutely admire. Even though he may be seen as weak, when he does put on those X gloves or he gets the dying will bullet, he becomes an absolute force that you do not want to reckon with, especially if you hurt any of his loved ones. He will destroy you. There's just something about this show that I'm always going to love about it. From its amazing OST to its fantastic animation and its incredible voice acting. Everything about it, to me, just feels good. It has its flaws, it has its issues, but I can overlook them because of the fantastic characters, the amazing setting, and the interesting story I felt. I didn't touch so much on the manga, but the manga is equally as good and has fantastic art as well. It does have 2 arcs that were not able to be adapted into the anime due to reasons. Those arcs being the Inheritance arc and the Arcobaleno arc, which are both worth the read. If you get a chance, I'd say watch the anime whenever you can. It's only about 200 episodes, and I know the first 20 episodes are something that are slow, but I honestly think that you'll enjoy them. And if you don't, you can always read the manga for a much faster experience. And hey, if you don't want to watch it, that's entirely up to you. But I at least appreciate you coming this far to see if you actually wanted to. Anyways, I thank you all for coming out. If you haven't already, I'd recommend hitting that like button and subscribe. Otherwise, you could go ahead and do what you want. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one, everyone. And peace out, my people.